to first ask you to please introduce yourself to the audience, and then I have the good fortune of asking you a few questions about how Expo went and your thoughts.
So I'm Jad Hindy. I'm the SVP of Marketing at Expo. I've been in that role since February 2021. So basically, I joined towards the end of the journey. So prior to me being there, many people worked on delivering the marketing component of Expo. And prior to being at Expo, I've been in multiple roles in the last 20 years. I actually, since this is MoEngage and we're talking about digital, I started my career building websites in the 90s. And then the .com happened, I turned to traditional. So I basically started digital and then moved into traditional advertising and media. And did that at multiple agencies in the region, across multiple countries, from Saudi Arabia to Kuwait, to Qatar, to Dubai, and across Leo Burnett, McCann, and worked for multiple clients as well, mainly telecom sector, Virgin, STC in Saudi, Ooredoo, which when I joined them was QTEL, and serviced FMCG, banking. So I think I'm well-rounded in the marketing space, yeah?
Definitely. But that's awesome. So a lot of experience, but I want to start, if you don't mind, by asking you about the most recent one.
Okay.
20 to 25 million visitors. In a normal year, in a normal period, that sounds audacious. But then you throw in the curveballs, the big ones, COVID. The expectation stayed the same. And somehow through managing safety, bringing people from all parts of the world, you guys managed it, which is amazing. Can you share some insight about how the marketing team reacted, the daily pivots, the struggles, the opportunities that you took advantage of to actually make that happen?
All right, so if we take a step back and start when Dubai won the bid to host Expo 2020, part of that bid was a commitment to deliver 23 to 25 million visits to Expo 2020 Dubai. I mean, back then, we're talking 2013, nobody thought what's going to happen, right? Mm-hmm. And as the team started working, putting their strategies in place, putting everything as they're planning, nobody expected come 2019, COVID will happen, and then everything will change. But still, when that happened, I think nobody had the heart to change the objective that was in place. And the entire, I want to say mantra, or the entire belief that we had while running through Expo was that no matter what happens, we'll take every challenge as it comes and then we'll deal with it. So if you want to say this was maybe the biggest startup running across the last 6 months, and it behaved in an extremely agile manner, although it was a big organization. But if you have those fundamentals in place and you think that you will face every day as it comes, you'll be able to do that. You put processes, you put structures. You have the most important thing, people believing that they're capable of doing everything as it comes. And then we wake up in the morning, we go through what we need to do today, and we put our strategies in place, and then we start acting on them. The good thing is we built our infrastructure properly in the beginning, so that's something important. Without it, you will definitely fail. But then something extremely helpful is that we knew not everything will work right. And then we didn't have the fear of it not working, but basically if it doesn't work, we'll need to make it work and need to put something in place so that we'll address it. And I think all those things that we've had as a belief and as a foundation to running Expo helped us face everything on a daily basis. You had a marketing team that was one of the biggest, at least in my career, that I managed. And every day, one of them would have something that will happen. I mean, we're all human beings at the end. We're all people. Not every day we wake up, we're feeling healthy, right? So still, with all that happening, whenever someone is not in his place, someone will pick it up, and you don't need to ask. So that spirit is what made us all run until the end and deliver this masterpiece of event.
I love it.
I think it's about the spirit at the end.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think it's a round of applause.
Thank you.
And it was a spectacle, So, you know, sometimes you think achieving those lofty goals compromises quality. You know, there's a trade-off. And I can say from someone who enjoyed my many visits.
I'm going to ask you how many visits.
Well, I'll answer. I think there was a total of 6. But one of them was my most favorite, and it's a proud parent moment. Can I do that for like 30 seconds? So my daughter's school, she's 8, they were running a story writing competition, and 3 kids would get picked actually based on the stories they'd written. And as a prize, they were asked to visit the closing ceremony of Expo. And what they said then was that you could bring one parent. And she said, okay, Dad, will you come with me? And I'm always going to remember Expo as this moment where she took me to something at the age of 8 that I would have never been able to take her to. So, you know, it's just, you think about growth, you think about the memories you guys have left, it's been phenomenal. And, you know, changing sob stories, parent stories aside, but just thinking about your experience. So Expo is great. I love the fact that you called it a startup that went from 0 to 100 so quickly. But you've obviously consulted several brands. You've worked across multiple verticals. And you've also done it over time, right? So you've obviously seen things change. Traditional ATL, BTL, you know, as it was previously, to now digital first, data driven. How are you finding this change? And if you consult brands today, how do you actually take them on the journey to the future?
Look, I've had several times the opportunity to be in the role whereby an entity was restructuring and wanted to embrace back then digital, right? So whether it's an agency, a creative, be it, or media. And it was interesting back then dabbling with those problems. But now when you look back and you see what we've all done in that line of field and how we've tackled what's digital, what's not digital, what's traditional, I think today we only realize that ultimately it's all about customer experience, right? It's about those touch points. And with the tech that we have, we're able to play the role that we've all wanted to play back then, but we couldn't. And we didn't know why we couldn't, because nobody would see the future and say, you know what, I'm missing a piece of technology. But now we know that today what we're capable of is something we've all wanted 10 years, 20 years, 30 years ago. And the last experience I had, so I look at what we've done at Expo and we call it was transformation at scale. And we say transformation at scale because we didn't only transform one business, which is the Expo business, but we transformed every industry that helped service that business so that we're able to deliver the transformation we wanted to deliver. And that's something massive. That's why it becomes at scale. And if you put at core how you deliver a proper visitor experience across all channels, how you deliver your messages to all your customers across the world. We weren't catering only to Dubai, only to UAE. We were reaching out to India, to Russia, to Germany, to the US, to Japan. How you make sure every individual who sees a message in a specific country in his own language, that's extremely important, and then picks up, goes to the website to book a ticket. What's his experience across our website? How it ends by him purchasing a ticket? How he moves from that point to booking an airplane ticket, how that experience is for him. The messaging that we have across Emirates, across Fly Dubai, across Etihad, all the partner airlines we've worked with, so that people will know what's Expo as they're boarding the plane, landing in the airport. What happens in the airport, be it in Dubai or in Abu Dhabi or in Sharjah. When you pick up your cab or you go in an Uber or Kareem, since Kareem was here before me, what's in the car? What do you hear on the radio? Mapping all this till the minute you come to the door is extremely important. It's something that we've all thought of as marketeers before, but today we can do thanks to technology. Today we know if someone posts something to Expo on Facebook, who is that person? When did he engage with us before and where? How was his experience? What was missing? How we can enhance it? Because ultimately every day something is missing, something is broken, and we need to fix it. And the biggest thing we fixed within that small period of time was the app. We had an app running at launch. Few know that that app was rebuilt 3 months later and launched again. That was because we analyzed how users are using that app. What are the main functions in the app that they're going through? The app was massive when we launched it. We wanted to thin it down, make it faster. And there was lots of things in it that people weren't using. So we eliminated everything. We kept it basically to what is important to everyone. And if we can do that in an event that is 6 months in duration, everybody, Karim can do it for their app every day, right? So this is how I think we should all approach marketing, digital, today and tomorrow. There is no fear of how people will behave on your platforms. You shouldn't be afraid. You should expect everything. You should always be willing to change it. Listen to them, see what they're doing, how they're interacting with you, and then fix it. And that's the way. 6 months of iterative approach on daily basis. And I think this is what this entire industry requires. We talk traditional, we talk digital. That's wrong. It isn't anymore traditional or digital. They're all integrated. In a way, you can follow someone across all channels. If an event like Expo managed to do it in such a short time, businesses that have been doing what they do for the last century definitely can do it better than us.
It's well said. That's well said. It's absolutely all channels, all aligned against the customer's experience. Yeah. And of course, iterate as you go, right? Because you get data back. That's absolutely spot on. You know, we've heard today a lot of sessions. There's been some common themes. Data is one, of course. You know, single platforms, using it, you know, to drive that customer experience is another. But there's been a lot of conversation around AI, ML, using data to be contextual across, you know, the modern age channels. Your thoughts on those concepts, the applicability, the need for this region to embrace some of that quickly?
Well, I think this region embraces quickly.
Yeah,
so it's a good region.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's not an obstacle. But I mean, what do we want more than an additional help in everything that we do, right? So if you apply a layer of AI or ML to anything that you're doing, and I'm wearing my marketing hat, it would have made my job much easier across any business I've been in. And today we're capable to do that. So in any business, if you know what you're doing today for your customers, and you can really collect data across all touch points that you engage with customers, all what you need to do is see what you want from those touch points, how you analyze that data, how does it help you making the experience better, definitely selling your products more, increasing your bottom line. And where does AI, which isn't a massive investment, and people think it is scary and they try to escape from it, where does ML fit within that equation? And that's how you really end up getting efficiencies of scale, end up getting decisions made faster, end up correcting what's not working quicker, and then the result ultimately is a better customer experience and more sales. So it's simple. In Dubai, you have lots of companies experimenting with that. We have lots of companies that are within that field applying things that really in Europe and in the US today, you think people are still taking a step back on. So I think Dubai is, in a way, a great playground for future technology. And any business can apply it because the market is well educated, it's already well connected. And everyone who lands in knows they're landing in the city of the future. So they expect to get the best service. They expect to get the best product. And hence, we're all here to make it happen. So Dubai, no fear from adopting ML and AI.
Spot on. Very cool. That's good. And it's you know, well received because I think a lot of the conversation today has been about, does it make sense to actually use AI and ML as a business? I think unanimously.
I think that question shouldn't
be asked. Yeah.
Does it make sense? Shouldn't be asked. And how is the question?
And then you put it extremely wisely, right? That try it, test it, make it happen, because it's all available now. We aren't actually dispersed from the rest of the world. We're actually doing things sometimes faster than the rest of the world. Yeah. That's really cool. The other thing that's come up, and I want to ask you this, you might have a view on it, is this concept of the metaverse, right? The future of potential human interaction. Would you ever see a Dubai Expo happening in the metaverse? Is that something that could happen ever? And if yes, then what would that look like?
Why not?
It's good.
Right? Why not? So as Expo, this was the first Expo that went virtual. Okay? So we had more than 230 million visitors on Virtual Expo. We had 24.1 physically, so that's 10x, correct? It's beautiful. And since it's the first time an expo did that, this is going to become something that will happen always from now on. And I think it makes sense, because if you build something as great as what happened in Dubai, you would want the maximum number of people to be able to take advantage of it and experience it. And this is what we've managed to do with virtual. Now, if we had the time, if we had the ability to add a layer of virtual to it, then in the sense of a metaverse, why not, right? And that's something that, honestly, today I think about another expo having that ability. I say, well, seriously, people will enjoy it more. Who here has used Quest 2? No? Anyone? Anyone dabbled with Quest 2? Any piece of virtual technology? Okay, we have
There's
one,
a couple
two.
of people.
All right, three.
Zed.
You had experience with Second Life. Fine. I had experience with Second Life. I used to sell real estate on Second Life. So that's my personal story with it. Now, think of your experience on Quest 2 and imagine being able to really walk across the entire expo site, right? And being able to interact with people on the ground. Experience Al-Wasl with a 360, really by you turning around and looking around. I think this is the next stage for Expo, whether it is fully virtual and immersive, whether it is just a metaverse experience. It's up to the next Expo to take that on board.
That's phenomenal. And it also then opens up so many different avenues, because I'm sure virtual then gives you more data around what people are doing, and you can then personalize that experience further and have them enjoy the product.
How you can move the experience from one space to another.
Yeah, there you go. That's absolutely correct. Good. I don't want you to leave this stage without sharing with us some frameworks, mental models, things that you may have through your journey, either incorporated in your work or you see should be incorporated today. I'd love for you to share. I wonder what that noise is.
Did I make someone sleep?
No, I don't know. So I'm trying to make sure it's not me. No, but I'd love for you to share as we end this, because I think about this is a growth summit, and I don't think that there is any bigger growth story right now than what Expo has been able to do in adversity, through the challenges, and absolutely going at it without saying, we'll compromise on either quality or goals. I'm sure there must have been frameworks or mental models. I'd love for you to share that with the audience.
Okay. I think the entire thing, and I started with that we've lived across the journey of Expo, was that have no fear, right? Expect things to fall apart, expect things not to work, but be ready to see that problem and then face it head on, put the right resources in place to manage it, work around what's the solution that you want to get to and when, and work towards it. And this is the model that I think today isn't something that only if you're running a startup you should have, or only if you're doing an expo and it worked you should do, but any business should have. I mean, fear is an obstacle. And the minute you are afraid of some piece of technology not working, you will not end up using it or adopting it. But then you're limiting that future experience that your customers didn't get. So this fear issue, I think, for us was a learning, not for me, was a learning for everyone at Expo. And we've all went through on daily basis facing things and coming up with new ways of solving problems that we've never had before, and it helped us a lot. One big thing that we've done, and I think it is innovation on its own, was the ability of facing COVID and facing how airports close and open, and facing how flight tunnels become bigger and smaller in real time. So our campaigns and all our programmatic media buys will work as all those changes are happening. So building something like that, because that was a problem, in no time is something. And whenever you look at a problem and you take it head on, you end up winning. You don't end up losing. You might not win 100%, but you would definitely be in a better place than where you were. And I think that makes everything move forward. And this is what Dubai as a city is built on. We call it the city where the impossible is possible for the fact that everything here is happening because people, companies, organizations, all face every problem with like, what can we do to solve it? So this I think is something extremely important for all of us moving forward. No fear of technology. We've had to work with people of all ages at Expo. Some people had no idea what we were doing in the marketing function because we were talking about strange things. We were telling them, yeah, we can buy an ad in Russia and then change it 5 minutes later to another ad, and they would tell us how. But basically everyone of all ages embraced what we were doing. And people of all ages can embrace everything as the minute they remove their fear of adopting a new technology. So I think these are the most important things that I've took as a lesson from my experience here. Be agile, be nimble, be flexible, don't be afraid, again. And yeah, I guess that's it.
Be agile, nimble, flexible, and don't be afraid. I think that's a phenomenal way to pass some wise words to everyone. And very well done on obviously managing a beautiful product experience in a very difficult time and leaving all of us with amazing memories. And a massive thank you today for being up here on stage with me. Honor, a privilege, and then of course sharing all these insights with everyone. I'd love to have everyone please thank Jad for spending time with us today.
Thank you.